there is a bit of lag time, but yeah, we'll deal with it. Um, I guess I will take this one regarding what we do specifically at XBorg. So XBorg comes within the context of SwissBorg, and what we do specifically. We have one of the greatest community in the Web3 gaming space. So we are about 10,000 players, and we actually have some of the best players in the space. And we've actually done so much for the esports space in Web3 specifically. Last year alone, we've organized 125 tournaments. This year, we've organized the largest Web3 league. And just if you look at XBorg across Illuvium, EV.io, Gods Unchained, we are pretty much the best out there. And this is the community aspect. And what we do on the technical side is we are building the identity of players. So it's really building the identity for the next generation of players. It's pretty much like a DID system. So if you are familiar with Lens, it's pretty much similar but applied to gaming. And then we build applications on top of that. And one of the flagship application of the ecosystem is the application for esports teams. And we've onboarded the number one esports team in Switzerland, Team BDS, onto this platform where they will be lucky enough to build the identity of their fans via the technology provided by XBorg. And now it's very exciting times. We've partnered with some of the greatest companies in Web3 gaming, like Yale Games, Polygon Gaming, Ultra, Zedica, Brave, quite recently. And yeah, I guess that's a quick intro about XBorg. Perhaps Anthony or Cyrus, you want to add a few words here, or not needed?
Yeah, I could add. I mean, I think so. And it goes back to the second question as well. Is we all are convinced here that blockchain is a great technology that has changed already a few, I would say, industries, especially I would say the banking one or the financial one, and we know that's a great way to interact. I think so. What we always believed as a thesis is that if you look at Web 1 and you look at Web 2, the actors that brought mass adoption, internet mass adoption, was not necessarily money, right? Because now, well, okay, there's apps and all that, but what really brought a lot of people to use internet on a daily basis is essentially a lot of social media and video games. This is where it really has built a lot of people and of course movies and different things, but definitely social media and gaming is definitely one that has really brought the mass to get and to use internet a lot. And I think so it's pretty much the same thing that would go for Web3, which is like social media could be a theme, but definitely video games is a very, very important one. And we know how unfortunately the you know esports or at least video games in general is still not where it should be in terms of community and rewards and how people could build their digital identity and all of that. It's still a very fresh industry regarding that. It's in terms of esports, it's not FIFA. We're very far away from that, and Web3 has so much to do, and it's just a growing industry. And I think so at SwissBorg we love it a lot. And maybe Anthony, you wanna add something to this?
Yeah, I'll be quick, but I think essentially the question we need to ask ourselves as well is we see, in the past 5 years we've seen L1, L2, now we're talking about L3 and L0 and L5. And the reality is there is always, and I think when we begin this journey, Cyrus, there was the same kind of thinking that if the technology can scale better, if the technology is faster, we will see adoption. But reality, it's not going to happen this way. It's going to happen when there is project that truly embrace what user want, and what they want is a better user experience. They don't really care about the technology. I think at the end of the day, emails, for example, are better than letters because they go faster. They are easier to write and to send. And that is SMTP technology or the technology. It doesn't really, the people don't really care about this, and that's why I think what XBorg and the other people are doing are so important, because for this next phase, this next bull run, and this next wave of adoption, we need to focus on creating good user experience. And I think we will have the time to discuss more about it. But with XBorg, there is a clear onboarding strategy to get to 1 million users that actually do not care about the speculation in crypto, but will care about getting more about their gaming experience and fan experience. And that's really our mission, to allow projects like XBorg to succeed.
I guess, we had the question just popping up before on why is XBorg needed, and that goes back to the issues that we solve. And Cyrus touched on that point, but the gamers are not really empowered. Like if you look at just the value flow within the gaming space, you basically have the the companies, and then just the flow of value from the players to the companies. But the players themselves, they don't receive any of that value. And as we look towards the future, to a future where productivity goes up, where AI facilitates lots of daily tasks, makes things way easier, you'll have more time to play. But it's very important that your time while playing or whilst participating in the gaming ecosystem, sees rewards, so that it could be an extra income for you, but you feel empowered as a player. And that's exactly what Anthony was mentioning about our strategy to get to 1 million players via empowering fans of esports teams. And I guess why is XBorg needed is really the current space lacks empowerment, and us as an ecosystem, we're building the technologies and the community so that players feel empowered. And I think we had some questions that were not necessarily about XBorg itself, but also about what's coming next, which is the seed rounds. And I guess it's important to have you from SwissBorg, because you just did a Series A. And the very particular thing about SwissBorg is that it's 100%, 100% not backed by VCs. And you're powered by the community. And that's that's something I truly believe in as an individual, is that communities may bring way more value than just corporations that don't truly know the business. And we'll take this question a bit later, but I wanted to ask a question for Cyrus and Anthony, and that is why doing a community raise, which is exactly what we're doing for the seed rounds?
You go for it, Anthony.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, again, even before we get into community and VC debate, which I'm very opinionated about, I think it's important, because Cyrus always remind me that terminology could be the enemy. It's not like all the VC are to trash. I think there is some VC that do care, but the reality is there is very few of them, because most of the VC today in crypto are not VCs. They are brokers. They're trying to buy very low and to sell very high very quickly. They don't have a vision. They are very opportunistic. And they're not traditionally what a VC will be, which is to have an investment thesis, to have a vision, and facilitate this vision with investing in project and helping them to actually succeed. And not only focusing on what's the token economics that allow me to pump enough that I can make the maximum amount of money, that I can roll over my position to another project, which is essentially the work of a broker. So the reality is I think why we for us, community is so important is when we start this journey in 2017, of course, the space was in a very, very different place. There was one white paper every month, and we were celebrating any ICO. And then, of course, we went to this ICO craze. But the beauty of ICO is every project was sourcing money with the community. And when you look 6 years after, we made massive progress into technology, into attracting other people. I see more and more very intelligent people coming to the space. But to me, one of the area where we did a massive step back is the access for community to be involved at the very, very early stage. Now, basically, every project, you've been removed to invest, right? So you see very, very important projects getting into Binance or any other exchange and already value billions, which is nothing better than what the traditional IPO and stock market exchange will do. And it's initially the idea and the philosophy when you look at Ethereum was to give access to the people that care the most, that can contribute as well, because the effort of user and community member is very critical to any success of this project, was to be able to participate from the very, very early days. And I think we lost this vibe for different reasons, and then this is not good. This is not healthy for the entire ecosystem. And that's why what you see is L1 or other blockchain that keep doing airdrops, because the reality is there is no new user using this project. They are just VC backed that then look for extra liquidity, and how they inflate this liquidity is by doing massive airdrop, that in the hope that they will attract more and more liquidity, and it's not positive for the entire ecosystem. So for us, our vision is to come back to give the chance, and again, we're not saying that we should exclude 100% of VC. We still believe there is VC that have clear intention and good intention, but we need to have a mix, a better equilibrium. And that's why for us at SwissBorg it's very important that we give access from the very early days to our community to project, because most of the other platform, what they do is they keep the seed round, the pre-seed round, the very early days for themselves, that they can dump on you when they list the token. And it's not only about the investment, it's about as well getting a community that is attached to the project, that will participate to the project, and that will be a success, because a token is a mean to bootstrap your network at the beginning, more than raising any money.
And I guess it was important for me, at least, that this is being discussed, because this has truly impacted the way XBorg's been built. I mean, being part from the SwissBorg ecosystem, and that meant that we understand the power and value of the community, and we had an AMA just before the NFT mint, and I guess since then our community has been very strong. Some of which are also part of the SwissBorg community. But one of the questions that was displayed on the screen is, why doing this community round when you could do VC rounds? And I guess we are at the stage today where there is lots of growth on the adoption from esports teams. So today we've just disclosed one partner of high caliber, but we have actually a huge pipeline of esports teams that are joining the app, and this hasn't been discussed yet to the public. And at this moment where you have a unique product, you have a unique positioning, and you see that there is momentum, usually it's only the VCs that would capture this momentum. And thus internally it was important to just understand how much do we value our community, and that people the public really, and the people that added value to the SwissBorg ecosystem, so the people that brought into the Series A, the people that are generation Genesis, are able to capture the early value that is created by XBorg, and not just by the time we do the ICO, where of course the price will be way higher. And so for that reason, it's very important to include the community. And actually, I just had a message this morning from a VC, and he was like, "Why are you doing a community raise?" They were actually quite impressed that we have about 4.5 million of soft commitments. So they saw the huge amount of capital that was ready to be committed for XBorg, and in their mindset, they were like, "Well, why don't you just let them buy at a higher valuation?" But I guess part of our philosophy, and this is something we've learned from SwissBorg, is that you should give back to the community, and community has been here from the very early days, from the NFT mints, and seeing the momentum that there is on the soft commitment side, it's been a true honor. And we see lots of people here like Dedex, Nilya, Kitty, Dashwood, who's been supporting us from the very first I guess one of the things we could also discuss about is arguably, about crypto VCs and what value do they bring over the community? Because typically at SwissBorg you had this choice, right, of either going the VC route or the community route. So I'm curious to know, from you, Anthony, or Cyrus, what was the decision making like when deciding whether going for the community or whether going for the VCs?
Yeah, I think so. In general, you never go wrong with the community. It's as easy as that. You could go extremely wrong with a VC, and you could extremely, good as well with a VC. But the chance of doing with the community is just so much easier because whenever people participate in the foundation, the beginning of of any project is that not only they have the, then the financial incentive to make sure that this project works well, but they have as well the spiritual connection of saying like, well, if XBorg is alive, it's thanks to my essentially my investment, which is completely true. And I think so. It has this very strong alignment between being a user and investor, which is very rarely the case for VCs. Really VCs, are just more there to support and with the financial potentially strategy as well, but those are usually for buyouts or things like that. And that's why again, if we're about to democratize, you know, any industry, if you start with a crowdfunding, the story starts very well, and I think so that that story then becomes strong a strong reason to continue towards that mission. And yeah, I'm sure that everyone that's listening today, I hope you guys already were able to participate in Prometheus, and you've seen in the worst time of all time. Literally couldn't do worse timing. Well, the investment is actually a very good one. And I think so, similar to our Series A, really worst timing to, I mean, sorry, worst time to raise, probably the best time to invest. That's always what it is. But I think so if we put the hard work behind it and we really dedicate our time, our energy to fulfill our purposes and our promises, usually things can work quite well.
Yeah, no, that's I mean that's true, and that's something that being a founder in the space, you realize that VCs eventually are just here for the money, and I would say the community is also here for the money, but at least they support you along the journey. And it's also interesting because when you build your token, you also don't have a high concentration on just one person, right? You have tons of projects where there is one VC that would own 5% of the supply, and that's of course not healthy, right? Because then there is bargaining power from this person, and doing it from the VC from the community route allows you to have a way more healthy distribution of your governance as well. And governance is actually important because let's say you have 5% of your token supply that is owned by just one entity. Then how decentralized are you? And you're in practice you're not really decentralized because of so much tokens being held by one specific party, and that's I guess pretty bad. And Cyrus, you were discussing about the Prometheus. I think some people that are watching this actually don't know what the Prometheus NFT is, and it's actually the seed round is the first time we do something that has a financial impact. We did back in September last year in what Cyrus just said as arguably one of the worst timing ever. That was just during the merge, and yeah, we sold out effectively our Prometheus NFT in about I think 26 minutes, and now I think you could have bought the NFT for about $400, and I think now it's like about $2,000. So it's like a 5x over the investment, which I want to say is not does not mean that the seed round will do 5x automatically. but I guess this just proves our recent track record. Um, I think we had some great questions in the chats regarding GameFi, and here that picks my brain, and I want to get your views, Anthony and Cyrus, on why SwissBorg went the GameFi route. I know we spoke about this, but I wanted to get your stance on the ability for GameFi to onboard the next millions or hundreds of millions of people into the crypto space, and how that will also add value to the SwissBorg ecosystem.
Absolutely. I mean, to me is just to make it clear. I like to invest into a top-down fashion. So I like to embrace the what is going in terms of general thinking. So am I investing into, I don't know, a more eco-friendly planet? Am I investing into a more financial planet, or these type of things? And if there is two theory that I believe a lot in, is gaming for crypto as a mean for adoption, and social, right? Social media that will invite themselves. And the reason is maybe because this is part of the industry that have captured a lot of revenue and growth and a lot of attention of people, and attention is money, and have almost never give back anything to their user, or very little. What they give is, in a nutshell, is what they give you is a little bit of adrenaline and addiction. So nothing very positive.
And status.
And
A little bit of
status.
status.
And as you say, it's very important. So, I mean, again, we go back to the previous time we met, the three of us, but I think if there is one thing that crypto can do better than anything else, is to re-equilibrate the imbalance. So close the gap of the imbalance of reward that needs to be put back in the hand of user and players and other people that contribute massively to the value of all this ecosystem that are very unfair. And the status, right? I think the tokenization of the status that we see emerging with Lens and with you guys, for example, is just logic. So when you combine the two best narrative in the space right now, which are gaming, of course there is scalability and all these things, but I mean, for user, again, to onboard 1 million of user, we need to look at gaming and social fi, which is social media. And you guys at XBorg combine the two. So to me, it's just, then it comes up to the team, and obviously we have a lot of trust in the team. So it's just logic for us. And just to finish on that, I think for SwissBorg, one of the mission is to help our community member to unlock new way of creating wealth. And these two, gaming, I mean, gaming is one of them. Of course, not everyone is a gamer, but mostly everyone use social media or spend time online, giving their attention for nothing. And that's a massive way of unlocking wealth in the future. So that's part of our mission, to help users to unlock stream of wealth that are today trapped into the Web2 reality.
Yeah, and just to go with that, I always say invest for the 5 Ps, right? Profitable. I mean, Anthony just touched this, that GameFi and SocialFi is probably one of the best things to invest in. Second is invest because you believe in the products, and that you want to continue to see how the products evolve. And we've really seen so far that in a very short time, and with a very small amount of resource, Louis and the team has put up already really cool stuff, which is a launchpad by themselves, identity on chain with a reputation that will be built on it. So I think so in a very short amount of time, that's a great phenomenal. And for the track record, we talked about Prometheus already being a great investment. The third P is always the people that are behind it. Well, the people are behind it is a lot of SwissBorg people, and the community is a lot of SwissBorg people too. So I only could salute everyone there, and the community and the team is growing, which is fantastic. The fourth P is the philosophy that's behind it, which I think so we just talked about it, which is amazing, which is being always providing a great experience to the community and rewarding the community in the highest way possible. And that, someone just said that earlier, was great, is that Make your community rich, or sorry, Daberg, make your community rich, they'll stick with you. Make VCs rich, they'll move on.
It's
uh,
true.
so, you should make a T-shirt out of this one, or a cap. And then last but not least, for the perks, and I'm sure they'll have a lot of great things to be done. I already have a very cool XBorg hat somewhere, so yeah, I'm sure you'll have a lot of cool stuff.
Yeah. Mm. Yep. So I think if anyone's watching, I think there's an issue live. Cyrus, can you hear me?
I could hear perfectly. It's good for me,
Okay.
but
Anthony.
Anthony was a robot. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Anthony had an issue, but anyway, Anthony touched upon one metric, and it's the million. And I guess why he was mentioning this specifically is because we believe we have a great strategy to get there, and that's one of our objectives for this year alone. And as you probably know, if you're following XBorg for some time now, the app is specifically built for esports teams and gaming communities, and of course, it's about Web2 esports teams. So when you onboard like Team EDS, for instance, these are like substantial communities. Rocket League has about 200 million players, and it's 200 million players, and it's if we look at EV.io, which is like a Web3 game, I don't know how it's like a 10,000x or something. It's much larger by a substantial amount, and our goal is to integrate. Like if we just get about 20 teams, we're confident we'll get there, and create a platform that onboards Web2 people into the Web3 space in a seamless manner. And of course, along the way, integrate payment services, fiat on and off ramp, and access to easy DeFi with SwissBorg. I think what could be interesting here is to also take some questions from the community, because I've seen great questions coming from the chat. One of which is more product focused, and that's coming actually from Gauthier. But Gauthier is asking what other use cases you see for XBorg within the credential network. So as we said at the beginning, XBorg is a DID system, so it's an identity system for gamers, quite like the Lens protocol, but for gaming. And you can have applications that are built on top of that. So one of the cool application of this is, like for instance, what we do for esports. Like today, it's very hard for a fan to feel like he belongs or she belongs to a community, and this is what the credential network allows, and it also allows for gamified experience. So along your fan journey and fan experience, you're actually building your own avatar, which is yours to own. One of the other use cases is like a tournament platform. Like if whenever you get matched with another people based on your skills, you of course don't have much data on the background of the player. So this enables to have more efficient tournament platforms. Also, in the esports industry, you have esports teams that are recruiting players, and today they are recruiting players, but not based on quantitative data, but really based on what the player tells them what their experience were. So it's also about being trustless in the sense that you don't have to trust whatever the person says, but you can all just verify the facts on the DID system, and that's very powerful as a use case. There's also in crypto and Web3 and gaming, you have NFTs that are items in game, And what's interesting is to pledge your identity, so pledge your reputation as a way to either reduce your collateral ratio or just not have any collateral and be able to borrow assets based on your reputation. So these are just some of the use cases that can be leveraged with the credential network. And for that, we're just simply super excited. We had another question from Steve, which is relative to the Launchpad. No, wait, actually this one. Yeah, all right, this one for the Launchpad. So Launchpad is one also use case of the DID system. And what our Launchpad does is pretty much connecting gamers to games. One of the pain points in Launchpad is you don't know who's investing. Like you don't have any information on the person. What we allow with our credential system is we allow gamers to target specific we allow games to target specific gamers, and also gamers to benefit from unique opportunities in the gaming space, which today they don't have access to. If we look at the Launchpad, like MakerDAO or CoinList, for instance, when you raise capital via their platform, you have no background information on the players. And it's also a great way in which you connect games with the gamers directly. And to me, this is the true sense of smart money. It's not just money; it's what comes on top and growth, community, exactly what we're doing now at XBorg. I think it's another relevant question here coming from English Journey. What are the most important and immediate goals for 2023? When will the token launch? We had many questions about when launch for the token. The goals for 2023. We've been working on this engagement platform for a long time now. We actually had Laureline from SwissBorg joining our team now and taking the lead over the tech. We're very fortunate for this because we pretty much are 10xing our tech now. But our goal is to ship the V1 and to scale the V1. So we've mentioned 1 million users, and that's our objective for this year. And we think we can get there by onboarding about 20 sports teams of large scale, and that's exactly our focus. And as we gain momentum on the applications that we build, it's also decentralizing XBorg, because we believe that the future of gaming applications and gaming technologies should be created by gamers, and as such, we want that our ecosystem is completely decentralized in a way that if someone wants to build an application that has a strong use case for gamers, well, they can use part of the DAO treasury to do so. So we really connect the gamers with the products that they want to use. And for us, it makes complete sense because, who is best to create amazing gaming applications than gamers? So we think we can't really go wrong via building directly with our target user.
And if I may jump to that's what I really think how the future is that the more that AI and how things are for pushing us into a direction is that, and how I think so us as human beings, we want to really more go into what we like the most, and when you go into it, first is become a user of what you want. Now with crypto, is being a user and investor is the same thing. And I think so the next step, what you just mentioned was very interesting, is that you're not only an investor, you're not only using this platform, but you're actually probably building it. And this really creates this circle of like being really awesome. And I think so that's definitely a next big step of Web3, is having that virtuous cycle of being again an investor, a user, and a builder at the same time. And like that, that you're on the right path because you're building what you love and you're making money out of it.
And I just saw actually a few days ago, someone came to me and was showing me an app that just was rebuilding Airbnb, and actually could rebuild any platform or service, or just like marketplace. And I saw this and I was like, well, that means AI is pretty much lowering the barriers to entry so much. So if you want to build an application, let's say in the next 5 years, you will just do a prompt by like clone this web address, and they will just ship the entire code base, have it run on a URL, and also, give you potentially additional prompts to modify it or to push updates or to have like an admin panel, etc. So I think that the future of technology is going to be one where any applications can be rebuilt, but that also means that, to me, the why someone would use a platform over the other is because of the community, and what is there that is just beyond the application, but the values, how it was built, who was building it, but also who owns it. Would you rather use an application that is built by the gamers, or use an application that is built and controlled by the CCP? And I think when players will have this option, they will go for the one that is built by the community.
Yeah. And to double up on what Cyrus said, which is you will build by using. Actually, it's already happening. It's just the process is unclear because it happens behind the curtains. But any platform, and I remember, Cyrus, when we pitched SwissBorg the first time, you were saying, "Can you tell me what's the name of the first Uber driver?" While Uber was just IPO, and no one can remember. But actually, the guy that used Uber, the first guy that used Uber, was a massive contributor to the direction of the entire platform and the success. And I think that's how we are going, as you say, to close the loop. Is when we bring AI here, then it becomes a transparent process. There is a happening, but it is happening again in the private manner because of Web 2 and the not sharing economy. The real sharing economy is not about not owning things. It's about giving back what user deserve, because when you use an app, you work for this app by providing your data and your user experience.
Yep. We'll take this question. And that's one that is a bit more specific, because today we've been very high level on XBorg, gamify what it means to do a community round instead of a VC round, although it will be a part of the round that will be covered by VCs, via VCs and business angels. But I guess we can go a bit more specifics, and there is a great question also because SwissBorg just did a Series A round with shares. And I want here to draw a difference between what we're doing at XBorg and how is that different from a corporation. So from the very first day, that was discussed with Anthony as well, is we really wanted to be as decentralized as we could. And that meant that the day you start selling, like for instance, we haven't sold any equity or any shares to our previous investors because we thought that it would be hard to, us being completely decentralized. Now, of course, for SwissBorg, that makes a whole lot of sense because, well, SwissBorg is a licensed entity, and you're dealing with actual money. For us, it's really different because we are much softer platform in the sense that we don't deal with sensitive information. So it was very important for us to maximize the whole value that we create, that we are not raising with shares and that we only do tokens. And as such, the vaults that will be open on the SwissBorg app, but also on our own launchpad, will be exclusively XBG tokens. And so that guarantees that there is only values that goes back to the token. And I guess we could discuss about how we generate value, how we get that value to the token itself, but that could eventually be for later. I think one is we've been very transparent about how much we have in treasury, and how much we spend as a team. As Cyrus was mentioning at the beginning, we were very efficient. And if you look at other startups, we were pretty much spending just about 10% of what the others were spending, but we still had a pretty big output rate and like big efficiency. But we had this question in the chat on why are we actually raising if we are comfortable financially. I think is, as we said, we've identified a unique opportunity to add value to fans with Web3 and to scale this with esports teams. And today, the level of response that we have is just huge from the esports teams. And typically, that's when you need to scale up your teams. So scale up the team technically with new engineers, but also on the business side, to do business development and marketing, as just an example. I see lots of questions flowing. Some that I don't understand. Important to note here, and that's another very specific question for the raise. But yeah, there is indeed a KYC process for participating in this round. We're trying to do things as proper as we can. So SwissBorg being licensed, you of course have to be KYC'd in order to participate in the round. And same for Launchpad. Actually, our KYC system is connected with the KYC system of SwissBorg. And so sadly, it's not sadly, we can't do otherwise, but you indeed have to be KYC'd and to be within the supported countries of the SwissBorg app in order to participate in this in this round. Perhaps it could be interesting to now ask the question and to potentially just go back another level higher is why SwissBorg is doing this. Why is SwissBorg doing this? Bringing this opportunity of XBorg onto the app for the community members. Why does that? What does that mean for SwissBorg to do that? Because that will be the first early stage vault of the SwissBorg app, right? Anthony, you want to pick this up?
Yeah, no, absolutely. We're happy to do that with a member of the family. But the message we want to send again is we're opening up. And I do not know many Launchpad that actually, beside maybe CoinList, that are doing that early a Launchpad. Usually what's going on is the Launchpad give you $50 of allocation, and then at least trade away the token with an inflated valuation. And here we want to help our user as well to play the long-term thesis of investment with crypto that we believe in as well, right? So part of this Vault and initiative with XBorg is just the beginning of a new product that will be launched at SwissBorg that will give the opportunity for people to participate into very early deal project. And it's not a Launchpad in itself. It's more something that we see like an opportunity because it's going to be not that big, but it helps, and we have frequency. And I think, again, is the way I see it in crypto is we need to bring back in the app some enjoyment and fun. And part of the fun is to take risk. And you either take risk by taking leverage, and it's very simple to see that many people are losing a lot of money on leverage. You go to Binance, you look at the leaderboard. When you cross the threshold of 1,000 users, knowing that they have millions of users, they start to lose money. So just to tell you that the leverage game is very, very risky, and you only benefit the people that are doing the market making. In the early investment game, of course, you will have success and failure. But with the help of SwissBorg that is going to be creating this opportunity, we believe we are going to create something extremely good within the app. And that's our objective.
And that's very cool, because I've heard behind the scenes the what's coming next, and this is super exciting. I think yeah, it's definitely a great era for wealth. To make sure that the community members of SwissBorg and the ones that use the app actually can participate almost as a VC in the opportunities, and also be able to have relative size. Like if we look at KuCoin or Binance or Launchpool, you can only grab almost like dust. I mean, this is like $10. I even seen projects that was $5. So even if it goes 20x, it's actually not valuable. And yeah, super excited for what's coming on the SwissBorg opportunities or vaults. However this is called. I think, Cyrus, you just said that you had to move in about 5 minutes. Well, actually, in about 1 minute now. So, is there, I guess, any last words from you, Cyrus, regarding XBorg? The seed rounds. What's your take on this? Any last thoughts?
I mean, the investment thesis, I think so, is we're going in a territory that SwissBorg knows extremely well, and that XBorg masters it. Masters it because it's put the time, the effort to understand where the value is. I don't think like XBorg it's a YGG. I think so XBorg is really a passionate community of hardcore gamers that understand where's the value in the wealth GameFi industry, and more than that. So I'm very very excited to see the next steps, and to see how we're gonna grow, and yeah, like always, be healthy, be wealthy, love our CHSB, our equity, and now XBG.
Yeah, what more? What more? Well, thank you so much, Cyrus, for
Take care,
attending.
guys.
Wish you a good evening. All right, and now we're back at two. Um, any questions from you? We can go into some details. I think we could also, because then if we go into some more details, we could even prolong this for a bit of time. I mean, I have the full evening for you guys. Perhaps Anthony wants to sleep at some point.
Yeah, maybe we can take a few questions, but in between, well, what I was saying before we get disconnected is, I know, Louis, you've been investing personally as well on NFT, and you've been involved, beyond your proper involvement with XBorg. So I think the audience will be very curious to understand, if you look at yourself as an investor, how will you approach the XBorg investment? What will be the criteria you will look at, and how will you evaluate this opportunity?
Yeah, I think one is what did they achieve? Like what did we achieve? Just track record, because you have lots of people that put great things on paper, but you have to look at how was the execution. I think it's also important to measure the execution with what was the capital that was, because of course the expectations for a company that would raise 20 million is of course higher than a company that raised just one. So execution is important. If they launch anything before, you of course want to look at this, right? If they've launched an NFT collection and the price was $400 and now it's 50, then what was the reason for this? I think the other is also transparency. Is how transparent are they? Do you know the team? Who is behind the team? Do you have any frequent updates? And transparency, usually helps also with the community, because usually when you're transparent, the community would follow, because community loves transparency. And then, how the community, are they supportive? So I'm very biased, right? Because, well, I'm behind the project, but when we look at at the soft commitments on XBorg.com/seed, we see that we have about it's logging now at 4.54 million, which, given our existence of just 1 year, is absolutely mind blowing. So you just have track record, transparency, community. You also have the product itself. Like, you have to understand the product, understand the use cases, and what's the impact of this. Like, you have lots of projects that would just pitch you the next big gaming layer one. But you have to ask yourself, like, how valuable is it? I mean, is it solving an actual use case? What's the likelihood of the product succeeding? It's also great to have a product, but you want to have a product that can touch the lives of arguably, I mean, if you're a consumer product, arguably millions of people around the world. And you see lots of very technical products or new chains that are being launched that we know for facts that won't ever get any adoption.
Hey guys, excuse me, we start to run a bit out of time. I wouldn't waste too much time of Anthony. So if you want, Lou, after a few last questions, we can continue and let Anthony go if he has anything else to do. I have a few questions from the community still.
Okay.
Yes,
Right.
I'm with you. 5 more minutes.
Okay, cool.
Okay.
I think I was actually not finished. Well, you have the product. Product is essential because product is what will drive value to the token as well. Financial viability today, you have lots of projects that actually have there is no financial sense to the project because they basically rely on selling tokens to just build the project, and that doesn't make sense. So you want to make sure that there is a product in the context of an ecosystem that can drive revenue, so it can drive value to the token. That's very important. Then also understand the token itself. What's the utility of this token? We saw Arbitrum. Arbitrum is neither a utility token nor a gas token nor a governance token. So you can ask yourself, well, what the heck am I buying? Am I just buying an ERC20, or am I buying something of a much bigger ecosystem? So the token utilities of that token, how it goes within the whole ecosystem. You have tokens like Uniswap, for instance, where you could have lots of value being accrued to the token, but none of the fees actually go to the token. It goes to a foundation. Then it's also understand how the token is designed, what we call as tokenomics, so how the token is distributed. These are things that are very important to understand. Most importantly, and I will end it here, but it's for the team as well, because when you're investing early stage into a project, and when I'm looking at eventually investing into an NFT project, I like to understand who's behind. Are they likely to give up? Who's behind, as in the team, but also the investors, the partners, and I think for us, it's been very clear from the get-go that we are hyper committed to make this work, and we've shown that we have the ability to execute on the ambitions that we have, and this is non-financial advice, but hopefully you get a spot on the upcoming votes. And you can grab an allocation for the seed round. And yeah, that's pretty much it for me. I think, Anthony, if you want to perhaps just drop a final last word, and then we'll take it PvP with the community, just myself and the community.
Cool. No, it was again, as it was always a pleasure. I think there is always more to say. It's difficult to be concise, but I'm very excited about the opportunity. Of course, I've seen you guys growing from zero to where you are today. And as you say, any early investment that you will do, especially at this stage where crypto it's at the very, very beginning. So any good idea is relevant and it will grow massively, but it's only about the team and how much they believe in themselves, how much they believe in what they do, And as you say, will they give up? Will they along the way decide to do something else because there is a better financial incentive somewhere else? And when I see the track record of you guys over the past 14 months, we ask you very difficult stuff. You've been very diligent with the money, and you've been truly passionate about what you're doing. And more importantly, the way we are going to grow all together to a million users do not depend on farming the token, which we see on and on and on and on out of the space. And to me, that's really key of what XBorg has managed to achieve. So I'm very, very excited. I will personally, of course, invest, and not the financial advice, but I'm very happy as well that we inaugurate this new stream of product at SwissBorg with you guys, and it's going to be hopefully the first of a long list of successful projects that we'll offer to our community. Thanks again for the invitation. Thank you for all the community to connect. I see a very familiar name. I'm happy that you sustain the little brother.
All right, thank you so much, Anthony, and wish you a good evening.
Likewise.
And, all right.
Be in touch. Bye, guys.
Bye-bye. All right, and now we are just together, guys, and we'll take the all of the remaining questions here. We can go into the more specifics about the seed round. Should we drop some alpha? We haven't discussed face-to-face or face-to chat, and we can we're pretty much here to answer any questions. I think Oz, you could come on stage, potentially crack up the cam.
Crack up, you mean show my face?
Well, I mean, if you want, yeah.
I'm shy, Let's go for it. Okay, so what I suggest you is you go through the chat. If you see a question you like, you click on it, you display it, and you answer it. Otherwise, I will just keep sending you question after question. We have around, I have a lot of questions. So let's say 15, 20 minutes more, and we should be fine. Is that okay for you?
Yeah, sure. Let's do it.
Okay, so I have one here that is interesting.
Okay, well, let me just get on the sofa. So how funds will be used after the ICO is finished? So first is what we're doing here is not an ICO. So it's very important to understand this. An ICO is an initial coin offering, and this is typically when you launch a token. Here, this is a seed round, so token will only be launched later this year. But the question is still relevant, as in we're raising 5 million. How will that be used? So off of this, we have 60%, so 3 million of the 5 million that will be used as technical development. So actually, all of this will go towards salaries of contributors within the technical team. And we think at the stage we are at now, this is one of the most important thing that we need to do, is to make sure that we, our technical abilities are very solid. So that's about 60%. Then we have the remainder of the funds that will be allocated, some towards marketing. So how do you market the product effectively? Partnerships as well, that's quite important. There are costs that are also attributed to legal. I mean, how do you frame this in the most legal way? Part of the funds will also be attributed to liquidity and exchange listing, to understand that what we forecast is that this will be the only round before the token launch, and listing on exchanges require liquidity, just a fee, and so that will be used as part of the raise plans. But really, the key here to understand is it all goes towards the platform, and 60% of it goes to just technical hiring. And I think there is a complete breakdown of the cost on the due diligence report.
You can find the due diligence report on our Discord.
Okay.
Next question, Lou. Is there a vesting period? We are going to be more specific with the fundraise. Have been asked to really ask you those questions, so I will just drop them off. Some are really short to answer, so feel free to just answer, and we move on. So, will there be a vesting period? And if yes, what are the conditions? And is this condition can move for any reason?
Yep. So there is indeed a vesting period. First is it's very common to have a vesting period and a lockup period for seed investments, because you of course get in earlier than the rest, and as such to prevent dumping and to make the ecosystem healthier, there is lock investing. So it's today we apply a 10% release at token generation events with a 3-month lock and 18-month of vesting. And as you said, rightfully, we have to put a disclaimer that this could change. And why this could change is because first, it's very frequent that things change. Second, exchanges, namely Binance or Coinbase, they have specific requirements. That's how the game works. As if you want to launch on exchanges, you have to abide by certain requirements, and sometimes they can have an effect on locking investing periods. So if we put this out there, is because we're confident that this will not change, but we have to put this disclaimer out there. Of course, we have to act on the best interest of people that participate in this round. So we have a fiduciary duty to you, but out of transparency, this can change. So also, it's relevant to say that don't overexpose yourself to XBorg. I had, and I should not say this, but we had lots of people that were trying to do an all-in on XBorg. I think as a person, you have to be very responsible for what you do. I had someone that came to me and said, "Hey, I want to take up a loan to invest in XBorg." Please don't do this. I think don't put any capital that you can't afford to lose at risk, and be very responsible with this. We are, of course, very satisfied and happy with the engagement that we've received for this read round, but please don't. We see meme coins rising like Pepe just now, but please don't do anything that is not responsible. I know it can be exciting to invest early, but this does not equate gains directly. We had a response here from Magus saying it's difficult to invest without knowing the exact vesting period. I mean, the vesting period is what it is, and that's what we've announced. We owe it to you to say there is a disclaimer so that you don't invest expecting this and that this may change. Lots of people could say otherwise and just give you certainty today that there is a vesting period. We've learned from other projects, from the conversations that we are undergoing, that it may change, and so you have to. It may change. It's not up to us. I mean, it depends on lots of even market conditions. So sadly, it's never it's not something, at least now, that we can have set in stone. Of course, as we get closer to launch, we'll have way more clarity.
What is the minimum maximum investment amount for the seed?
So it really depends on where you fit. We actually have confirmed today. We actually have it confirmed today. Yeah. I will I will be able to drop this today because we've made some changes on the vaults, not the Prometheus community. But I will do a breakdown now, and this will be announced to the community on Discord and Twitter. But we just had this validated. So the first vault, and the first level of vault will be 100,000 volts, and that will be a public vault on the SwissBorg app. And the contributions will be made in CHSB. So it won't be USDC, it will be CHSB. Everyone on the SwissBorg app will be able to participate on this round. And there is a minimum investment, and that will be $50 equivalent in CHSB. Minimum, maximum $500 equivalent in CHSB. So we understand that this could go fairly fast, but that will be the very first vault, and that's a public vault. Second vault is a Series A vault. The vault size is 500,000 USDC, so the contribution currency is USDC. The minimum investment is 100 USDC. Maximum investment is 2,000 USDC. The third vault is a Genesis and Generation vault with a max vault size of 300,000 USDC with a minimum size of 100 USDC, maximum 3,000 USDC. The fourth vault is a premium vault with 200,000 USDC, max vault size, with a minimum of 100 USDC for all tiers, but a maximum that depends on the tiers. So we have 2,000 USDC for Generation and Premium, 1,000 USDC for Pioneer, 500 USDC, 200 USDC for Explorers. Now, when it comes to the Prometheus community, it's the first, well, it's not the first, it's the only guaranteed vault. And so as such, there is no hard cap. Like there is no, I mean, the theoretical hard cap is the max allocation multiplied by the supply of Prometheus NFT, and the allocation per Prometheus NFT, so it's per NFT, it's not per account, is 3,000 USDC, with the minimum being 100 USDC. And so the only guaranteed way to get XBG, which means guaranteed as in no matter if you commit on the first day or if you log in on the 5th day, if you own a Prometheus NFT, it's guaranteed you'll get an allocation. That's a commitment we've made, and we've made some changes on the allocations is because we also had access to data, and we understood that in fact there were lots of interest from Series A investors. We also understood that most Genesis investors also had a Prometheus NFT, and that's why we've included Generation in this vault as well. We also saw that there were less Generation with the Prometheus NFT, so it makes sense to also reward them. And yeah, so there is a total of 1.1 million that will be on the SwissBorg app, and about 500K we think on the XBorg Launchpad, and that amounts total to 1.6 million. We have a buffer, so we can do more for the Prometheus community. Now the data tells us that we'll probably do about 500K, potentially less. I mean, we don't really value the success of this based on how much we raise from the community. And yeah, out of transparency, I think we will disclose the data. So, I mean, not the data of like all submissions, but the data per community. I actually have it in front of me, but we will do a public announcement for this. Out of transparency today, So we're aiming to raise about 1.6 million. Today, in terms of soft interest, there is about 4.54. So we're still a bit oversubscribed. I mean, there is more interest than there is allocations. So it's important to understand that you have to, if you're on the SwissBorg app and you don't have a Prometheus NFT, you can just be there on the day, and you'll probably get a chance to get an allocation. I think for the public round, we understand that this will go very fast. But if you're just new to the SwissBorg ecosystem, it's also an opportunity for you to get a premium tier. So not necessarily generation, but at least be ready for the last vote, which is only for the premium.
Thank you. Really complete question and clear. So now I invested, and I'm wondering how and where will I receive my token after the participating to the. Sorry, they said ICO again. It's a question from the community, but.
Yep. So you will. Now we're deciding whether we stream the tokens to you or whether we do a contract for you to claim the the tokens. We haven't decided just yet. We might just. It's not clear to us just yet. So you have the two options. It's either we build a contract that streams the tokens, or we build a contract where you have to claim the tokens. So in one case, you'll have to pay the gas. In the other case, you don't have to pay the gas.
Okay, so I hesitate. Now people are wondering why you're using a liquidity bootstrapping pool for the ITO.
I think it's a fair way to assess the valuation of a project. And by the way, here, I mean, you mentioned ITO. I understand this. You're referring to the token.
Yeah.
But it's a fair way to launch a token. Now again, disclaimers. Actually, same disclaimer as with the vesting and the locking. Is this may change, and for the same reasons. One is the exchange requirements, namely Binance, for instance. If you launch, you typically would go to a Binance launch pool. So if we have the opportunity to list on Binance, we would potentially do a launch pool instead of an LBP. It depends on the opportunities that we have and also the trade-offs that we do as a team and as a project. I think for some steps here, it would be amazing to get the community involved, as in there are some very tough decisions, just decisions that we have to make that we understand may impact the future of XBorg, like an LDP, or a Binance launch pool. We have this question from Kishore. No, I mean the two ecosystems are separate. We have the Prometheus NFT for the launchpad of XBorg, which is hosted on launchpad.xborg.com, and then there is the app. So today you have no way to bind your wallet to the app, like directly from the app, and that's why if you hold a Prometheus, you can just head over to our launchpad and you'll get a guaranteed allocation. But on the SwissBorg app, there is no guaranteed allocation, and the reason is simple: is because there is way too much interest for us to, like, we can't raise 4.5 million. Like, it makes no sense for us to raise this much from the community only.
Yeah, sorry, I'm pushing the question a bit fast. We have a question from Steve. Will there be any benefit for the early investor, like ICO Genesis, etc.?
So today, no. I mean, first benefit you get is you get a lower price, and that's the main benefit. And so I think we could think of perks for whoever participated in it. Now we understand that the biggest perk is you actually have access to a token before anyone else. Well, actually, it's true. It's false because we had a round before, but that was very, very early. I think project was super early, and I think price is the main consideration, and we don't feel like giving additional perks because that would also be unfair to the people that would come next.
Okay, so it starts to slowing down on question. We are going to wrap this up. Thank you very much. It has been 1 hour and a half almost. As always, pretty generous. Is there any question that you feel the community forget to ask tonight, or maybe we ran out of time, or I didn't see it in the chat? Is there something you would like to address, especially to the community?
We'll do. We still owe the FAQ. That will be rolled out this week. So it's a very complete FAQ. Can I share my screen here?
I can do it for you if you want. If you want to share the
Oh,
Gitbook.
I mean, we'll share the FAQ, but it's a very complete document that goes over so many different questions. So we've put lots of time into it. I think today we had this AMA with Cyrus and Anthony, but it's important to go into deeper details. So typically, questions of the FAQ that we are releasing, some will be covered in a dedicated AMA for just questions.
Yeah, we forgot to speak about dates. Do you have any K dates to communicate? When does it start? Which votes first? Are we going all together? Is it split on few days?
No, so yeah, it's there won't be any votes overlap in the SwissBorg app, but there will be. So Prometheus, for Prometheus votes, what we have is the 3rd of May. So that opens the 3rd. That will be closed about 7 days later. So you have a full week to commit. So if you're on a holiday, you will still be able to commit. If you're not there and you own a Prometheus, and we understand that you've owned a Prometheus before and you missed it, I think we'll somehow find a way to make this happen. And that's our commitment, because the Prometheus community believed in us from the very first days, and we owe it to you. Now for the SwissBorg votes, so we've set the order to public, Series A, Genesis, Generation, and Premium, and there won't be any overlap. So what we have is the votes. So public vote will be open for 28 hours, so just 28 hours, or it will be at expiry of the votes. So if we hit the hard cap, then it will be closed. And then the Series A votes opens for another 28 hours, and then closes. And so pretty much each day, there is a new vote that gets open. I mean, we only have 4 votes, but that's how we plan on doing it. As far as the exact date for SwissBorg, we should get the confirmation this week. We're not just awaiting technical feasibility. So there are some technical developments that need to be made. So we're just waiting for this to be done. And that's why we haven't put any date. We can say the 3rd for our launchpad, because we are the persons behind it. For SwissBorg, it's of course the SwissBorg team.
Thank you, Lou. Last minute question from our fan of esports. Simon is asking if we are giving XBG to esports team interested by our product.
I mean, actually, we're getting paid. I mean, they're paying us for us to implement the solution. So it's the opposite. I think if we refer back to the deck and to the due diligence, I believe it was mentioned, but yeah, there are, like, we have a set of tokens that could be allocated to incentivizing an ecosystem to join us. I think lots of projects work that way. We have chilies that work that way. Ironically, we had someone, I think, that came to us and wanted us to sponsor. How much was it? 5 million or something, or 7? I don't know the exact number, but that was crazy. But we're not doing this. We're not doing this. It would seem pretty crazy to do that. But yeah, we have a token pool, and that will be shared transparently. I mean, as much as we can, if there is no confidentiality agreement.
Okay. So Lou, we are going to an end. 1 hour and a half. I think it's enough. The FAQ is coming in the coming days. I have one last word from Gauthier, and I know that everyone will be happy if you can say something about this. Little trap just before we go. Anything, drop it.
About some alpha. What's reasonable to say? No, I mean, well, yeah, actually, you will soon be able to claim your handle or your username within the XBorg ecosystem. So that's cool, and that's going to be. No, we have the V1. So you have the V1, and just before you'll have this, and that's going to be the first product that goes out by our tech team. It's a very simple product, but you will be able to claim your username, your handle. So it's like within all of the apps of the XBorg ecosystem, that will be your name, will be unique, and I guess it's a very small thing that's coming out. Actually, Gauthier should have the date now, but Gauthier is responsible for this. I think just the other cool thing is, I want to give a shout out to the whole team because what we're doing with the Team BDS, we are actually replicating this to other ecosystems, and it's just like Team BDS. We were very excited very early on because we knew what was coming. But the thing is, when you deal with esports teams or large companies, and we're talking to some of the biggest companies out there, and when we say biggest companies, it's actually the biggest companies. You have NDAs, you have letter of intent, etc., and so it takes time to get to an announcement. But Team BDS took about 6 months. We're confident it will take way less, but do expect to hear some news regarding very large partnerships with some of the greatest esports teams. Could be anytime soon, so be ready for that. And that's all. I guess that's all I can share. I think, some of the other alpha that could be shared on the investment side is we're fortunate to have lots of interest from VCs and business angels, but we're being very picky today with who has the opportunity to invest. So we'll be able to share metrics about the private rounds. We're giving ourselves plenty of time to close the private rounds. We're not in a rush. We've shared transparently how much we're burning as a team, so how much we're spending, vs how much we have in the bank, and so yeah, that's all I can say for today.
That's cool. Thank you, Lou. Time to wrap this up. Let's say goodbye to the community. Thank you everyone for joining us tonight. Please share, like, comment. Really appreciate if this video can turn a bit. And yeah, we will end with the teaser that I messed around before. And I wish you all a good night. Goodbye, everyone. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
DeFi path is not an easy one. You will face many challenges and risks. So you'll need the right tools. With SwissBorg Earn, ease your path to the rewards you deserve. No effort, no worries. Just sit back, relax, and enjoy earning on your crypto